I'm going to introduce a project we've been working on since kind of camp last year, or the plugin licensing manager, and yeah, just kind of give you a kind of a brief overview, introduction, and kind of a feel for kind of what it is. So first off, who am I? Well, I'm John Moore. That's how you can get in contact with me. And I work for Adaptavist. And we've been driving the PLM, and I've been the kind of the main person driving the code and things like that. And I'd like to kind of tell you kind of PLM the story, to give you a kind of a feel of, you know, what is the PLM, what is it supposed to do, you know, and I like reading stories as well, so I hope you indulge me. So once upon a time in a land not quite so far away, an Atlassian consultant wrote a freaking awesome plugin. The consultant used it with many of his customers, and each one loved the plugin. That plugin's freaking awesome, they said. We use it all the time. It makes Confluence even more awesome. Another said Jira. But that's freaking awesome plugin equals win, win, win. One day, on a particularly satisfying engagement, Jim said to the consultant, I was chatting to my mate Dave, who's an admin at Megabucks Corp. Dave would love to use freaking awesome plugin. Where can he buy it? The consultant paused and thought, if I can sell freaking awesome plugin, I can spend more time making it even more awesome. What a great idea. But oh dear, his thoughts continued. I have to write some kind of licensing system. I need to be able to issue trial licenses and notify users when a license is going to expire. In addition to all that, I need to write some sort of admin UI to install licenses into, and that sounds like a lot of work. I just don't have the time to do that, get that right. On the way home, the consultant bumped into a wizened old wizard. Noticing the confused look on the consultant's face, the wizard inquired, whatever is the matter? I need a licensing system for my plugin, but I don't have the time to write it, the consultant replied. Have you looked at the PLM? Asked the wizard. The PLM? Yes, the plugin licensing manager, answered the wizard. It's a flexible licensing system which comprises of 3 parts. A cross-product plugin, libraries, and some vendor tools for generating and managing licenses, the wizard continued. I shall have to investigate this PLM, the consultant thought. He thanked the wizard and went on his way. When he got home, the consultant looked at the PLM, and to his delight, it found it supported everything that he wanted it to. You could generate a license that would work on a specific server ID, or a license that would work only on developer licenses. You could create a license that could be checked by custom code and freaking awesome plugin. Very soon, freaking awesome plugin had the few lines of XML and code needed to support licensing, and the consultant had the vendor tools up and running to manage the licenses. Next, he knocked up a simple Confluence plugin for his website to generate trial licenses via the PLM tools REST API, which were tied to a specific server ID. After dinner, a swift integration with his payment provider was in order, and after what seemed like no time at all, the consultant had an end-to-end system for buying and trialing freaking awesome plugin. A quick social media campaign followed, and everyone was talking about freaking awesome plugin. At his local Atlassian user group, the consultant ran into Dave from Megabucks Corp. Dave was telling the AUG about his experiences with freaking awesome plugin. All my users love it, he said, and my job was so simple. Installing the plugin, creating the trial, and buying a license was so easy. The license is installed from the same place as I managed the plugin, and I didn't have to go digging around for information on the system information screen as I did with other plugins. That's great, said one attendee. How did you know when a trial had ended? A message came up on my admin console, said Dave. How did you know when the license is going to expire, asked another. I can see all the licenses from the PLM admin console, which is also integrated with the PLM. It's super convenient. I think all license management should be this simple. And so everyone was happy. Dave was happy because managing licenses with the PLM is in the same workflows as managing plugins. The consultant was happy because many more people were buying his plugin. and he didn't have to do as much consultancy work or worry about licensing issues such as security or administration UI. And all of the users of Freaking Awesome plugin were happy, well, because it's freaking awesome. Thanks. So the plugin license, I'll give you a bit of an overview of kind of what it actually is, more kind of a rounded overview rather than a sort of a story. So basically, it splits into kind of, well, two main sections. Everything is inside of the Atlassian application, so your license plugin and the PLM, and then all of this stuff is just kind of like back-end like services for generating licenses and all those sort of things. So first, we'll just have a quick look at the sort of the stuff in the application. It integrates with the UPM UI if the UPM is installed. So on older versions of the products that doesn't have the UPM, it will work as well. So we have this licenses tab here, and then indicators and licenses and messages at the top. The thing, so you can see immediately that Freaking Awesome plugin needs a license, and then here's a license plugin with a license installed, and that's kind of how it looks. And then a similar view with that. This is not the UPM. This is the standalone API UI. And again, and then the next thing is the acquire dialog. So this is sort of information you want to pull out of Confluence or Jira or Bamboo for Shark Crucible that you need to send to generate a license. So in this case, we're actually asking for server ID, email address, the license type, and so just bits of information that you need to generate a license. And I'll have a look at, I'll show you how that kind of gets to the vendor side of things in a minute. So inside of a license plugin, so this is the plugin, your plugin that you write, this is Freaking Awesome plugin. And there's some integration testing tools which generate like fake licenses and that sort of thing to start up when you're running integration tests. And we've got this plugin license service tracker, which is a way of getting a hold of the plugin licensing service. And you can detect whether it's the PLM is installed or not, and call various API calls to check whether you're licensed. You integrate with a few lines of XML inside of the Atlassian plugin XML. So there's like 3 new module types, and you use, so that's kind of a one-way thing. You tell the PLM about what your license is. And then you've got a Java APIs to determine, well, enforce your licensing within your plugin. Licenses are based on X509 certificates. So it's kind of it's all standards-based sort of licensing. So if we take a look at kind of the vendor side of things, so this is the vendor shop. We've got a very basic reference implementation of the shop. It's not really a shop, to be honest. It's just a way of getting a license, and that communicates with a REST API to the vendor license service, which kind of communicates with a database. And there's a kind of a management UI bit in there. So we've kind of got all the tools there to generate licenses and manage licenses and link them to other back-end systems that you've got. There, and that's kind of like that's kind of the big picture of things. So there's some questions that come up, sort of like why are we doing this, and why have we made it open source? So the first thing is that, like Adaptavist, we need licensing. We've just released 2 plugin packs, which comprises of about 22 plugins. I can't remember exactly. All of which has got the licensing in them. Even though there's some free plugins, you still require like a license to be able to use them. The plugin community needs it, and I think like partners as in general need licensing, because the more people who are willing to pay for plugins and things, the more we can grow the plugins and increase the quality of the plugins. And the customers need it as well for a consistent licensing experience. Like, so you install the plugins and then you install licenses all in the same place. So there's no kind of like, you install a plugin and then you go and try and use it, and then now you got to install a license and you go over here and there and things. Just want to make it a really smooth, consistent experience. So, have I got any time for questions? Yeah, so has anybody got any questions?
What's the license of this stuff? Is it PHP or Apache?
Apache. Yeah.
How do you prevent against people using the open source license to get around it?
So the licenses so they'll be tied to a particular. So the license system uses like a vendor certificate. So you use a vendor certificate to issue licenses, and you ship your public certificate inside of your plugin. And then when a license is installed, it's verified against the public certificate.
Sorry, I meant what would prevent somebody from stubbing out the check?
Oh, from stubbing out. So there's a the core libraries inside of the PLM thing are in a sign jar, and the license service tracker, one of its other jobs is to check the signing of the services that it's used, the OSGI service that's used. So it verifies that it's talking to a genuine PLM. So.
Where does someone go to learn more about the PLM?
Yes. So it's on studio.atlassian.com /browse/PLM is the kind of the project and stuff. Right now, the documentation could do with some work. So what I'd recommend is you watch the space on the wiki, and that will hopefully get it kind of up to some sort of standard soon. Any other questions?